$50 not having the money in. Okay, we're towards the end of Masechta Shabbos. A difficult, Masechta full of halachis, but it seems to, at the end of Masechta, it finishes off on what we call a high note, a lot of agadata. So we've been discussing dead people, and the Gemara slants over to discuss the last perek in Koheles. So I thought it prudent for me to read the perek, and it's like 7 psukim of the perek, and we're going to discuss those psukim. It's perek Beis. It says, remember your creator when you're young. And then we went into going ahead and discussing old people. Right? That's old age. Before the sun sets, and the or and the Yoreach and the star set, and the clouds go in after the rain. By Yoim Sheyazu Shomei Abayis, they tremble the Shomei Abayis, this Avsu Anshe Achoyel, Ubatlu Atoichanois, and the grinders are bottled Kimi Atu, because they're small, but you can see it means your teeth. The Choshku Haroyis Ba Rubois, that means your eyes. Rubois are windows. The Sugru de Lasayim Bashuk, and the doors are closed in the shuk. These are all euphemisms for the human body, discussing the frailty of the human body as it ages. So basically that's the pasuk. Those are the psukim. So it's a good introduction to what we're about to do. Okay, so we're on Kuf Nun Aleph Amid Beis. Kuf Nun Aleph Amid Beis. We're Tanya Rebbe Elazar Kippur Omer. I'd say it's about 13, 14 lines from the bottom. Exactly 14. Tanya Rebbe Elazar Kippur Omer. Lo'olam yivakish adam rachmim al midazu. You should always daven for the midah of tzedakah. In other words, that to give tzedakah to others, because if you're not in need of it, you'll come to your son. And if it doesn't happen to your son, then ben benoi ba. Shenemar ki, the pasuk says, "V'nasnu titen li v'lo yere lo bacha b'sitcha loy ki beglal hadav hazeh." Because of this matter, and Tana Rabbi Shmuel, galgal hu shechoyz b'olam. This is a galgal that would come to the world. This is a galgal that comes poverty, and the need for tzedakah is a galgal that comes to the world. It repeats itself, and it's a very, 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 very well-known Vilna Gaon. When you count the people, each person will give the kaif for himself. Now, v'nasnu is a palindrome. It's written both ways. Vav nun samach nun vav, and vav nun, either way you read it's v'nasnu, because it's a galgal. It's like a wheel turns. V'nasnu ish kaifa, the constant need for giving tzedakah, right, is always there, right? The galgal there is something that repeats itself constantly. That's the Vilna Gaon. Rabbi Yosef Nakatino, we have a Messiah, Haid Sumra Rabbana Loy Ma'ane. Sumra Rabbana, they won't become poor. Fred the Gemara Chasina the Ma'ane, we see that Sumra Rabbana, they are poor. So what do you mean they won't become poor? We see they are. So more in Isa the Ma'ane, if they do become poor, Adure Pisco Loy Mahada, they won't be given the indignation of having to go door to door. They'll get the money, they'll need the money, but they won't have the busha of going door to door. Amalor Reb Chia lived the sire. Reb Chia said to his wife, Kiyasa Anya, when an Ani comes to the door, Agdimile Rift, hurry up and give him something, give him some bread. In order they should go ahead and give to your son. So Amalei, she said to Reb Chia, Me'elet Kolayet Lahu, you're cursing me. In other words, my son's going to have to go door to door. So Amalah, Krokoksim, I'm just telling you a pasuk. Keep it Glal Hadav Hazeh, the Tan Rabbi Shmuel, Galgal Hu Shechoyz Ba'olam. It's a galgal that goes around and around and around. Okay, Tanya, proof to Rav Chia. Gamil Beribi Omer, Gamil the Galador says, "V'nasan l'charachmim b'richamcha b'irni dachas." Says if you're going to wipe out the city, Hashem will give rachmanis to you and have rachmanis to you. The double lashon is a beautiful. I heard it b'shem Ibn Ezra. Some said b'shem Yorachaim Kodesh that usually people are affected by the midos of what they do. So a person kills, he becomes a murderer. So Kodesh Baruch Hu promises you that if you not wipe out the Irani Tachas, you have to kill them by the sword, right? Not by Besdin. The sword, you wipe out the city. It says, Hashem is going to go ahead and have Rahmanas on you. Don't worry that this bad meat is going to go ahead and attach itself to you. They say that it becomes, no, when you do something, yeah. Once you do, what's your, the serial killer was once upon a time not a serial killer. The first murder was the hardest. Right. After that, it was all right. Okay. Anyone is Rachmanas in the Bias, Merachim Lo Min Hashemayim, Rachmanas Min Hashemayim. Anyone is Merachim Bias, Ein Merachim Lo Min Hashemayim. Like now, getting back to the plus in Koheles, it said, before the sun and the light they grow dim. That refers to the forehead of a human being that glistens when they're young, and as they get older, for some reason the crevices appear wide in the forehead and in the nose. Those are the cheeks. The shavu of him achra geshem. Again, these are the psukim. Clouds returning gift to the geshem. Zuma or ein of shel adam. This refers to a person's eyesight. That you lose it as a result of crying. Shmuel was a doctor, and he tells us, if you cry, the tears that you lose up to 40 years old, the body restores those tears. Up to 40, there's a restoration of those tears. From that time and onwards, right? They don't come back. Nachman, this eye salve that we discussed about this eye salve. We go out with, but they put it around the eye. At Arbaim Shana Marvach, till 40 years, Marvach, it will go ahead and improve your eyesight. After 40, Afilu Malya, even if you fill it up, I've seen the girder like as much as a weaver's beam, Ukmi Mukmi, it'll keep it from getting worse. It'll keep the status quo, but Arvochi Le Marvach, it won't improve your eyesight. My Kamashmalon, the Kamed the Olim Mikuchlo, when you're younger, the more you put in, the thicker the dabber. Fame Ali, the better it is. Reb Chanina Shechiva Le Barte. Reb Chanina, he lost his daughter. Leilenu LaHavika Bachi. Allah, he didn't cry about the loss. So Amalei the Visayu, the wife of Reb Chanina, told him, "Hanagolta Afikas Mi Besach. Did you lose a chicken? How can you not be crying? Like you lose a chicken, okay? Some people even cry. They lose their. They cry like who knows, right? But right. Huh? You cry. Some people cry over lost football games. Not me.
Not anymore.
Yeah, for sure. Don't get me started. Okay. Anyway, so do we lose a chicken? So Amalei Tarti. Should I do two things? Tichla, be lost my child, the Iyura, and lose my eyesight. In other words, the child is right. I lost. I can't do anything about it. But if I'm going to cry at my age, I'm going to lose my eyesight. So why should I lose two things? There's 6 types of tears. Shalosh yafai, shalosh rois, 3 positive and 3 are negative. Shalashon, if you cry as a result of smoke. Shal bechi, as a result of bechi, of crying. Shal beisa kisei, because mitoche yisurim. Right, right. Then rois, those are bad. Shall sam, if you put in sam in your eyes, some type of medicine. Shall shchoik or laughter, you cry, you cry to you laugh till you cry, right? Well, every once in a while you have that good laugh or you cry. It doesn't come often, but when it comes, it's super geschmack. Right? Vishal Paris, let's say onions or some other thing that'll go ahead and fix your eyesight. Your face, that is good. Okay, continuing the pasuk in Koheles, it said, "B'yom sheyezu shomrei habayis." In the day when the guards of the house they'll tremble, this absu, right, and then the powerful men they'll ubotlu hatechanais kimietu the chashkoi harues. Okay, all these pasukim. What does that mean? B'yom sheyezu shomrei habayis, when they tremble, elu haksolim batzlois. It's referring to the human being again. And it's referring to the aging of the sides and the ribs. This avsu anshe choyol elu shekayim. Those are the thighs. Ubatlu hatchunois elu shinayim, the teeth. The chashku haruos barubois elu einayim. Those are what? Those are the eyes. Only case of Yeshua said, case of Yeshua, Ben Chananya, my time like Osas Lebeyavidan. Why did you come to Beyavidan? We had earlier Kufta Zion. That was the meeting place where they had the religious debates, right? And the Sleikin would be there. They had back and forth. So the Caesar, I guess, that was the politics of the day. So yes, Rabbi Shimon Chananya, we find Rabbi Shimon Chananya very often. He was in probably Rome very, very often. So we find him in Rome. He was there, and he was asked to go ahead and deal with this. So he said that, why don't you come? So he said to him, Amalei, Tur Talag, the mountain has snow, meaning I'm all white. Sachrune Galidin, it's surrounded by ice. His beard and his mustache. Kilbue loy navchin, the dogs don't bark, meaning my voice is very low. And tachnue loy teichnen, and the teeth they don't work. You know, they don't grind anymore. The shnayim, they don't work. They Ravi Amri, in Yeshiva Rav said, Adoloi evidna chishna. I look for the things when they're not lost, meaning I'm always bent over, like I'm looking down for something. So these are all signs of old age. Tanya Rav Yossi bar Kis Moimer, Tava Tori Mitlas. Better 2 than 3. Better 2 legs than 3, a cane, the third leg, right? Better 2 to be able to go ahead and walk with 2 legs than the third leg, the cane. But I tell you, I still remember learning this Gemara and saying,
First time around.
Guess what? I ain't laughing so quick anymore.
3 cycles ago.
Yeah, three cycles ago. So, hey, now all of a sudden, yeah, now, are you kidding me? Now I took it very seriously. Yeah, it's very funny. Anyway, Vailo lechoda de ozla. Woe to you lose one, it doesn't come back. Woe to you lose something, it doesn't come back. Maihi, what's the one thing you can lose, doesn't come back? Yankusa, it's your youth. Youth is wasted on the young, right? See, the great people, they're able to, at a young age, they get it together. They're able to somehow at a young age. My Rabbi said, he was arguing with a Ketzais, and he looked at me, he says, Leza, it meant to separate the places. Does he think I have big shoulders? If can figure me like a size? So I said, I didn't say anything. He wanted to tell you something, and Rabbi, you can do whatever you want. So he said that, he goes, so listen, he goes, from the time I was 4 years old, all I wanted to be was an Adam Gadol. From the time he was 4. From the time he was 4, he began learning in earnest. Again, but you know what they had? They had nothing. They had nothing. He said, in Grodno, they were so poor, they breathed Torah. There was nothing. They had nothing. They didn't have nothing. They had zero. But again, bottom line is, the kids who begin when they're young, you see the difference. You know, it's Kiyasar Adim Yama Yankusa Kalila Devarda. Yankusa is the Kalila Devarda, is the laurel of it's a hat of roses. However, Sabusa, his old age, is clearly the chilfa. It's a laurel of they touch nettles, like thorns. You know, it's like, again, there's a different perspective. Tanamish made the Reb Meya. Doik bekachi, chew with your teeth, betishkach benigri, and you watch your steps. Shenemar, v'nispa lechem v'niyeh toivin v'ro lereinu. Amalei Shmuel of Yehuda Shinana, sharp one. Sorry, shaked v'ay lach mechad b'yim shana. Open your sack, meaning open your mouth, and eat food. You're going to eat food. You're going to eat food that is till 40. Eat solid food. And michla male michla kind of elach mishte male. In other words, I read it wrong. One more time. Shinana shari sake v'ay lach mechad abam shnin michla male until 40. Solid food is good. Mikan ve'elach, after 40, break out the blender. You know, then you go ahead and then you have to. Shmuel was a doctor. He knew, that if you get old, that's it. Back up to 40, solid food. Afterwards, break out the blender. Azosh Ken Gemara.
All right.
Okay. Anyway, Kufnan Beis. Okay, we're up to Kufnan Beis. Now, a goizel, Rashi says, is a guy who was castrated. So this is a very interesting conversation. I have no idea it's a much deeper than it seems, but it seems to be tit for tat. One Rabbi Shua ben Chanan, you're going at it. Rabbi Shua ben Karcha, excuse me. Rabbi Shua ben Karcha going at it with this eunuch. Okay, so Amalei who goes to Rabbi Shua ben Karcha, mechacho lekarchina kama have. From here to Karchina, how far is it? Now, Karchina is the name of a place, but that's not what he meant. What's the sharish of Karchina? Is kireach, meaning he was bald, so he's making fun of his baldness. So Amalei, so Rabbi Shua Karcha told him, Kemichacha leguznaya, the same distance from here to Guznaya, which also was the name of a place, but again, he's marumiz in the word Guznaya, the fact that he was castrated, because it says he was cut off. Amalei Tzedoiki, Barucha Karcha Ba'arba, a bald member of the flock can be sold for 4. A goat vis-a-vis a sheep is considered bald because it doesn't have wool. So he said, you can get that for 4. Amalei said, you know what? Ikra shalifa b'timnaya, but a castrated one you can get for 8. So again, this first of all, the guy's foolish. Try to go against Yeshua ben Karcha. Second of all, I don't know why the Gemara is bringing in this again. Look at the Mefarshei. There's a Ben Yoyada over here. Just stay later today, to make up.
The source for trash talking?
Right. Yeah, exactly. It seems like they're talking trash, right? Exactly. So you have to look at the Mefarshim over here because we know Rabbi Shua ben Karcha is not talking trash. Chazid loisayim b'sanei. He saw that Rabbi Shua ben Chaim wasn't wearing shoes. So it could be that he had he could have a problem with his feet because usually they would wear shoes. So Amalei the al sus malach the al chamor ben chayrin. A melech rides on a horse. A chamor is a ben chayrin. Udemale briglei bar inish, and a person who doesn't have, and a person who has shoes is about arinish. Is a person. Leihav leiha, and person who doesn't have any of these things. The chafa v'kavet tavminei, and it's better what? It's better. The dead person is better than a shoeless person, right? Amalei. So he said guza. It says eunuch. Tlasamartali. You told me 3 things. Tlashmata, listen to 3 things from me. First of all, hadrus panim zaking. The hadrus of a person, the beauty of a person is his beard. Simchas, leiv, what's the happiness of a person? Is Isha. Nachlas Hashem, and what's the nachlas of Hashem? Is Bonim. And Baruch HaMochem Shemenachem Mikulam. And blessed is the merciful one that he held all 3 away from you. The guy obviously, he didn't have a beard, didn't have children, and didn't get married. Amalei, so he told him, Karcha mitziyona. Amalei ikwa shlifa tuchacha. Okay, and whatever. Amalei Rebbe B'Shimon ben Chalafta. Maloi hikabnu panecha b'regel. So Rebbe said to Shimon ben Chalafta, why didn't I get to see you by the regel? Just like my fathers greeted your fathers. Amalei slayim nasu gavayim. The slayim, the slopes, they've become very high. In other words, I'm old. I can't walk. Right? Kroivim nasu rechaykim. What used to be close is now far. Mishtayim nasu shalosh. From 2 feet, I've become 3. He gets what is the cane. And sim shalom bebayis batal. And sim shalom, Rashi learns, and the ability to bring shalom to your house through tashmish amita is batal. So again, that's why I didn't come up there. I'm old. Yeah. Anyway, Bisugru dilasayim bashuk, and it says bishfal koil hatachana v'yakum l'kol tzipor. Okay, what does it mean? Elu nekavish l'adam. This refers to the nekavim of a person. Bishafal kol hatachna bishfil kurkivin shein etoichem, because the kurkivin, the stomach doesn't grind. V'yakum l'kol tzipor shafil tzipor minarte mishnasa. Even a chirping of a bird will wake you up. Every time so your birds, it's very funny. Sometimes they can be very calm and peaceful and settling, and sometimes it can be the irkiest thing in the world. Yeah. Certain birds. When there's a bird, I thought outside my window a nest. I thought I got the nest. I didn't. It was another nest. I got one, but very noisy. Again, I'm looking at this Gemara and I'm saying, the shoe fits. Like what should Shleiman knows exactly what he's talking about, right? It says, the Yisku called Benois Ashir, all voices of song are dim, Sha'afilu Doimes Remes Elav Kishucha Even what kol shir b'shiros doimus love kesucha. Even loud songs they appear like whispers. Now, even Barzillai Gedali said to David, okay, David had a rebellion. Meaning his son rebelled against him, Avshalom, and he ran to a place called Machanayim. And when the whole time he was in Machanayim, Barzillai Giladi, he went ahead and he supported David financially. He bought him food and drink and took care of him. When David was restored, he told Shlomo that Barzillai Giladi should be a person that eats by your table all the time. And this is what Barzillai retorts to David. He says to him, Amar David, Ben Shmoinu Shana Nechayim, I'm 80 years old today. Ha'eda ben toiv l'ra, do I know between good and bad? Mikanshe de'usan shel zakenim mishtanais. Right? Im yitam avdechais asher oichel, will I be able to go ahead and taste what I eat? Based asher eshta, what I drink? Mikanshe sisoseim shel zakenim misrapatas. That the sisoseim get literally tattered. So Eshma Oid would call Sorim Shirais, Mikansha's name shall Zakenim Miskabdai. So in other words, from Brazil, he was 80 years old, we can afford he's losing his sense of taste and senses. Amar Brazil Gidoli Shak Rabbi. He was a liar. He Amsa the Havi Bey Rebbe. He says he was 80 and he was too old. He was a maidservant in Rebbe's house. She was 92 years old. And she used to taste the pot to see what needed, but ingredients they needed in the pot, she would go ahead and taste. Rabbi Amar Bazil Goli Shatam Bazima. He says no, he disagrees. He says really an old person is capable of going ahead and smelling and tasting. The reason why Barzillai was not was because he was Shutufei Zima. Zikna kafetzes love. Anyone who's involved in znus, then zikna is kafetzes love. So that he was old is not indicative of all people in his particular case. So he's coming to argue on the previous thing that bringing Uriah from his old age. He's arguing. It's a fact that he had other issues that caused it. Tanya, Talmidei Chachamim kol zman shem askinim chachmi d'toises behem. Talmidei Chachamim, the whole time they get older, their chachma increases. Shneimar, it says, Bishishim in Chachma, in the age of Chachma, v'arach yom tfuna. Ka'amei haaretz kol zman shem askinim tipshus nois them. They get more foolish. Shneimar, meses safel and amonim v'tam zikenim yikom. Gam goy v'yiro shafilu gevshushus katana doime love kahar. Or even a small mound appears to them like a mountain. And it says the chastakim, again, this is going through this chastakim b'derech b'shoshim halach b'derech nasu loy tavoyim. An old person, when they go on the way, it causes anxiety. V'yinoetz hashoked, and the bones protrude. They're kli busois v'stalkol, the hips. V'hechogolov agvois, the tofer of yonos, the chemdas, that's taivas nashim. Basically, they're scared to walk. You speak to old people. My mother, is very aged. She's scared. A little thing appears to them like a mountain. It's an amazing thing. But there's such a pachat to walk that you're scared of falling and breaking a bone. It's such a pachat. It's amazing. Every little thing it rings so true. Rav Kahana have a pasuk, Sidra Kamei the Rav, Ki Motalai Kroy. We got to this pasuk, Nogib Esnacham. When he got to this pasuk, he sighed and he said, "V'tofer of Yonim Zuchemda." The Rav had already lost his taiva. Rav Kahana, Maidich Sik, Yu Amar Vayehi, Zu Isha, Hutziva V'yamoid, Elu Bonim. Isha Chemes Malay. Isha Chemes Malay Tsoya. A woman is a leather bag full of tsoya, full of excrement. Upia Malay Dam, a mouth is full of blood, Dam Nida. So what are you learning Daf tonight, honey? I don't think you should repeat this, okay? This is not repeatable. Okay, it's said that they do not. Yeah, I can tell you one thing that you should teach this Gemara. So they won't want to learn Gemara. They'll burn it. The feminists, like I'm telling you, they'll get the female Peter down. Yeah. Now we're discussing death. Each person will get lachamei shana, will get a madir, will get an abode according to his greatness. Mashal melech shenichnasu va'avodav le'ir. They come to a city. Kashay nichnasim kulam b'shar echad. They all come in as one. However, nichnasim However, when they go to lodge, in other words, when you walk into the airplane, right? Everyone, they say, I remember like on the 747, there's certain things in life. Okay, I'll share with you. There's a Jewish book called the Book of Awesome. It's not a Jewish book. It's a book called the Book of Awesome. It says awesome things, right? Now, there's a Jewish Book of Awesome that we made up, my son and I. I'll give you an example of the Jewish Book of Awesome. You remember when you walk into your house, and it's really, really hot in the Shabbos, and you're waiting for the air conditioner to go on, and you hear the click of the clock a second before it goes on? That click is awesome. Right? When you hear that, it's awesome. Because in a second, you're going to get what? You get cooled off. So on the old 747s, if you come on the plane, right, you go to the right, you go to the left, or you go up. So you go in, you have your boarding pass. In the old days, they told me to go to the right. You have to excuse yourself how many times when you went down the aisle. And then you got to your place, and of course, you have your bag, you opened up, and what? Someone took your place, right? It's full. You have to put it in the back of the plane, and you know when your plane's going to land. You're going to have to get your stuff, and you know exactly what's going to go on. Then there's, sorry, you go upstairs. And then you go upstairs. There's like maybe 15 seats. A stewardess waiting with alcoholic beverages. Multiple places to keep your stuff. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. Anyway, but this is discussing not this world, but the next world. And the next world, we all go to the next world. We all go there. We all enter. And then there are different places for different folk. Right? There are different places for different folk. Anyway, Malamed shechol tzadik v'tzadik noisnoi model lefnei kvoidai. Mashal melech shenichlesu v'avoda of the ear kishen nichlesim kulam b'sharach nichlesim. Kishen lonin kolecha v'yachan noisnoi model lefnei kvoidai. Vam Rabbi Yitzchak maydich siv ki hayaldus v'hashachrus havel devarim shadnamaisi v'laduse meshachem panav leisig nutzei. The foolishness that a person does when he's young blackens his face when he's old. You pay the price. Vam Rabbi Yitzchak says, Rabbi Yitzchak kosherima lemeis kimachat b'basa chai. The worms that eat away at that a person's after his death is like needles in live flesh. Shnemar ach besari olav yichad. Ach besari, his flesh over here is pain. Amrav Chisda nafshe shel adam is abelis to love called shiva. The nefesh of a person is misabel of the individual 7 days. Shnemar v'nafshe olav se'evol. Uksiva yaslav ve'evol mishlas yamim. They went for Yaakov Avinu evol shivas yamim. So Amrav Yehuda, Meish she'en lo menachmim, a meish that has no one to menachem, Holchem Yud B'nei Adam, B'yoshim Komo. They should go not to the kever, they should go to the place where he died. Who the Shachim B'Shakvusa, there was a person who died in Rav Yehuda, in the neighborhood of Rav Yehuda. The Lechoyim Manichim, they didn't have on the base, they didn't have what? Manichim. Kol Yuma Habi Devar Rav Yehuda Be'asara. Every day Rav Yehuda would gather 10 people, V'yaseh B'tuchtei, and would sit there Lacha Shivas Yomim. After 7 days, he left. This person that was benifter appeared in a dream to Rabbi Yehuda. Amalei told him, "Tanuach aitcha," very famous words. Tanuach aitcha sheinachti estaiti. May your das be eased in the way that you eased my das. Your das be eased. It's Amravo kol shemim b'fnei ameis yadeya ad sheyastem agoylov. Now, whatever they say about a mace, he knows until the goyl is covered. There's two pshatim in the goyl, very famous Loikas Rashi and Rabbeinu Tam to read Shas. According to Rashi, the goyl is the top. According to Rabbeinu Tam, it's the matzeva. It's the tziyah. Ibor of Chiv Rav Shem and Bribi. Chad Omar Achiyistam Agoylo. The mace knows what's going on until the goyl is stuffed. The Chad Omar Achiyisachal Abasar until the flesh is decomposed, which is considerable time later that the mace knows what's going on. Manda Omar Achiyisachal Abasar. The one who says Achiyisachal Abasar. The Tziv Ach B'Sori Lov Yichav. V'nafshei lov talvol, ma'adiyom achiyistam agoylo d'chsiv v'yoshev v'ofer ala aretz kisha choya v'ruach tishmar el ha'okim asher nesona. So it's mashma what v'shasta offer v'shasta kfura. That's where it stops. It ends over there. Let's see Rashi over on this. Rashi said something on this. Offer v'yoshev offer 3 lines down. Gufay kari afar. The guf is called afar. Umishashav elo aretz. When the guf returns to the ground, kishahayim miyad baruach tashav ein baruach oid. And then, so therefore, with the goyel v'yashav afar elo aretz, it says the goyel and the afar is placed in the body, goes into the aretz. That's it. Tanabana baruch tashav elo kim ashen asana. What does that mean? Tanolu kamisha kimoshe nasa lecha b'tayra. Like it's given to him b'tayra. Avata b'tayra, so too you should return a b'tayra. Mashal melech basav adam shechilik bigdei malchus labad. He went ahead and divided up bigdei malchus to his servants. Picking shebehem, the smart servants, what do? Kiflim, they fold up the begodim, v'nichem bekufsa, and they keep them in a nice closed box. Tipshim shehem, the fools, holchel v'yasem malacha, they go to work with these king's clothing. The yom and bikash melech as kelav, the melech wants his clothing back. Picking shebehem, mechsirim loy kashem mugatzim, they return it in a state of press. Tipshim shebehem, achozim kashem mulchlachim, they return them in a state of dirt. Right? Sameach hamelech likros pikim, the melech's happy to go ahead and greet the pichim because likros tipshim, and he's angry to meet the tipshim. So obviously, this is the nimshal is obvious, right? I'll pichim amu yinasnu kelai loitzer. I'll place the kelim in my treasury house. Ve'imlechu levatechem l'shalom. However, I'll tipshim amu kli yinasnu l'koybes. A kli is given to wash. Ve'hem yischavshu bebeis hasurim, and then they'll be imprisoned. Avakadosh Baruch Hu gufin shel tzaddikim maimer. Yavay shalom yinucha al mishkavaysan. They should be shalom, and they have menucha on their couches. On the Shmasam Mu'aymer, what does it say? Abigail tells David, the nefesh of my master should be bound to the bounds of life. What does that mean? Al Gufut. That means you be tachas kisya kavod. Al Gufut Shem Mu'aymer, and the Gufut Russia it says, Ein Shalom, Amar Hashem LeRashayim. On the Shmasam Mu'aymer, that's nefesh Ayvecha Yiklein B'Tov HaKola. The nefesh of the enemy should be slung in a slingshot. That's what Abigail told David. Tanya Rabbi Elazar Oymer. The Shmasam Shel Tzadikim genuses tachas kisya kavod. In the Shama of Tzadikim, the hidden tachas kisya kavod. Shneimar v'hois nefesh adoni tzur b'tzorachayim. The nefesh of a master should be bound to the bounds of life. The Rishayim, the nefesh of Rishayim, right? Zayim mois, they're locked away. V'holchos. Umalach echad oimi b'seif ha'olam. One malach stands at one end of the world. Umalach echad oimi b'seif ha'olam. Another malach stands at the other end of the world. Umakal nishpas and zelazeh. They play ping pong. They sling it back and forth. Shneimar. The nefesh ayvecha yikalenu b'toif ha'kaf ha'kola. The nefesh of your enemy, in this case it was novel. The kalenu should be slung in the the slingshot. The kola is the thick part of the slingshot where you put the rock. Only Rabbi of Nachman shall be yoinamai. Now you discussed tzaddikim yisas rishayim. What about baining him? So Rabbi Nachman told him, Ika shechivna aloi. I think you have to change the gear. So if you look at it, Klaimar, Ishachivna loy amiluchu. Had I died, I wouldn't tell you. Hi Milsa. Hachiyam Shmuel. Elu leduma nimsru. These are both given over to Duma. Duma is the malach that's mamun on Gehenna. Kol yordei Duma, we say, right? Yordei Duma is malach on Gehenna. There's a very. I have a few minutes. I'll tell you something about Duma. Let's get there. There's a very in the Zohar, they describe the conversation between Hashem and Duma, and Duma is trying to get HaKadosh Baruch Hu to punish David for the Ma'aseh Bat Sheva, and one by one HaKadosh Baruch Hu answers everything, if any single time. So we say today, you said it in today's Yom. What do you say? Kemat shachna Duma nafshi. Kemat, almost shachna Duma nafshi. Duma almost got me, but he didn't. So that's the Zohar, guys. That's shot. That's shot. One pasuk, you have a whole Zohar, like 2 pages long on this thing. Kemat, shach, he almost got me. Shach, he almost got me, but not Hashem got him, right? Right. So that's Duma. This malach is Munon in Gehenna. He's the Hansha down there. So they're giving over. So Elu both the Ben and Rishayim are giving over to Duma. Halol yesh lem menucha. Some of them have menucha. Halol ein lem menucha. Rav Mari, Asim tzadikim havi afara. The tzadikim, they're going to turn to Afar. They're going to turn to Shmutz. Siv, the Yoshev Afar al Aretz Kishahaya Hanu. So Kishahaya Hanu Kapuloi Davi Kofli Ba'ar. There was these diggers who were digging. Arid Rav Nachman. They were digging in the Arab of Nachman, and unfortunately for them, they came upon a grave, and they didn't know, and they dug. And Nachabuhu Rav Achai Bar Yoshia. Rav Achai Bar Yoshia, who had died many years before, he snorted at them. So guess what? They exited stage left. They weren't hanging around. This guy snorted at them, and he took off. Asub Amle Rav Nachman, Nacha ben Gavra. They came to Rav Nachman and said, "The guy snorted at me." Asub Amle Rav Nachman came and he said, "Mani, who are you, Mar?" So Amalei, "Ano Achai Bar Yoshia. I'm Achai Bar Yoshia." So Amalei, so Rav Nachman said to Rav Achai Bar Yoshia, "Olav Amar Rav Mori, Asid Tzadikim Dahavi Afra. So how can you be intact?" So Amalei, Umana Mori, who's Mori? I don't know him. I don't know who Mori is. Yeah, not that Mori. He goes, I don't know who Mori is. You know. So he goes, so Amalei. So Rav Nachman told Rav Achai, well, Kroksiv, the pasuk says, the Yoshev Offer ala Aretz Kishahaya. So in other words, so how can you be intact? The pasuk, it's not Mori. He brought a pasuk that you know you're going to be what? You're going to be in Offer. So how are you intact? So Amalei, so Rav Achai told Rav Nachman, he told him the Akruyucha Koheles, whoever taught you Koheles, le Akruyucha Mishlei, not teach you Mishlei. The Chsiv, what is saying Mishlei? Urekav atzmais kina. The atzmais, they rot because of kina. Kol mi sheyesh le kina b'liboy, atzmais of markiven. Kol she'en le kina b'liboy, ein atzmais of markiven. And I didn't have any kina, so therefore I'm around. Anyway, Yeshashe, Rav Nachman went ahead, he was brave, and he touched Rav Achai Bar Yoshia. He touched him. Chazi, the Ismay Mishasha. He saw that, he saw it wasn't the Casper, the friendly ghost. He was feeling, it wasn't an hallucination. He was mamish feeling somebody. If you could talk to a mace, you could do it. Listen, the middle of Hasidic Shemaisi, it's Galit Shakasha. Anyway, as I said, again, everything is cryptic. Chazid this way Mishashi, so there was epis da. So Amalei, Lake and Malagabe, basically, he invited him home. I'm not going to invite him home for supper. He said, you've been lying around there for who knows how many years. Yeah. Amalei, God said, I feel a Navi like Krisi. You show that you didn't even learn Navi. You don't learn Mishle, you don't learn Navi. So the Chsiv, it says, Vidatem, Ki Ani Hashem, and you know that I am Hashem, B'pischi es kivurasechem. When can I come out of the grave? Only when HaKadosh Baruch Hu allows me to come out of the grave, so I can't go anywhere. The bottom line is, it also says in the Torah, you are Afar, you return to Afar. That's 1 hour before Tchias HaMesim. That's when a whole body will return. My Rosh Hashiva said a story. I didn't hear it from him, but I heard it from somebody else. He said that he after the war, he came to the United States, and he met a person who was he had been an avowed communist or a Bundist. He had no shaykhs to Yiddishkeit. He had been a reporter for a newspaper, and Rashiva knew him from Vilna. And he saw, after the war, he met him in America, and he was from. He said, Rashiva couldn't believe it. He goes, guy was a communist, a Bundist, he was from. So he said, was is Geshem? Like, what happened? So he told him the following. He said, the Russians, the communists, they were building a railroad through the Vilna cemetery. And they had to move the Goin's Keva. It was a big thing. The Goin is a big thing in Lithuania. To this day, there's a statue of him, but they were going to move him off of Peking. The communists were in charge. And he was covering for the newspaper. And so he was there when they opened up the Keva of the Grove, as this is 1947. The Grove was nifta in 1797, exactly 150 years before. Exactly 150 years before. They opened the grave. They said his cheeks were rosy red and he was smiling. They closed the grave up and they stopped building the railroad. He said he saw that. He said he became from overnight. So I said, Pshat, Even his death, the Vilna Gaon was able to makaravat an avowed communist. Okay, we'll see Bez Hashem. We'll see everyone tomorrow.